Testing. For those of you guys watching on the chat, for whatever reason, it can't pop up on the side. But for those of you guys who don't know, this is the weekly after show. Pretty much, I talk about the videos of the past week, talk about what's upcoming, sometimes respond to some craziness from the videos, but also answer you guys' questions on the chat. So if you guys are watching on the chat, thank you guys. For those of you guys who are watching in the future, you'll probably get it down below. But if you don't know, this is the Google or the Patreon Hangout where pretty much I archive every single one of these videos over on Patreon for just $1. Like I said, I'm working on a graphic to have all of them up because with the craziness that is the copyright that is out there, I appreciate you guys who for just $1 help support the show. But I'm going to get a little bit into my Kanye thoughts. Really only got two things. It's the Kanye thoughts and also the stuff from Solo. And then I'll get into your guys' questions. But let's talk about Solo for just a little bit, right? I was thinking about making a video, sitting down, editing it, kind of like I did with the J. Cole one. That irony of like all the fans coming out saying, you don't know what you're talking about. And then J. Cole comes out and in several interviews talking about how he actually wants to reach out. The Solo one is interesting. Because the J. Cole fans just shake their head and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about. The Solo fans have gone into my Twitter mentions, my Twitter DMs, my Facebook DMs. I'm surprised if one of these dudes don't come into my house and starts knocking outside on the door. Listen, there's obviously a divide when it comes to Star Wars, right? And I'm sure you guys will let me know on the side. You either like what they're doing right now or you don't. And both sides have been getting a little crazy. So I made a video about both sides. And if you've watched anything from this channel at any point in time, you know that I can make a video and be called a Republican and a Democrat at the same time, a liberal and a conservative, a Star Wars stan and a Star Wars hater at the same time. And what I found most interesting is that right at the beginning of the video, I had said, I had said that Star Wars stans, be it those who adore the franchise or those who hate it, will argue with you even if you agree with them. And that's what my Solo video kind of did. There was plenty of people. I think the biggest thing that stood out, right? So just right off the bat, biggest thing that stood out was at a certain point, I bring up how there are, I think this is like a 2-minute mark of the Solo video that I made. I say, you know, a lot of people don't like Kathleen Kennedy, the producer, the person who's been overseeing a bunch of the recent Star Wars projects. A lot of people don't like her because she's a woman. But you know what? Forget those people. There are a lot of people who have valid criticisms and they keep being, you know, tagged as being sexist. Forget those people. Ignore them. Let's talk about the people with valid criticisms because they just don't like how things are being delivered. That is exactly the line I said. I had a bunch of people instead questioning, why are you assuming that we all hate Kathleen Kennedy? What are y'all talking about? We are not sexist. Prove to me the one person out there who hates Kathleen Kennedy just because she's a woman. And you know the best way to reach out? I get it. Some of you, because I kept getting quoted that Screen Rant, John Campia, a bunch of other people were saying that anyone who doesn't like the recent Star Wars movies are sexist. I ain't John Campia or Screen Rant. The thing is that when someone's trying to help you out, you know, the whole point of the video was to be like, hey, for those of you who love the series, that's great. For those of you who don't like the series, it's cool if you don't like it. If you're not like those people who are out there and just hate it just to hate it, if you have valid criticisms for the writing and stuff, dude, you don't have to like them. Don't give them your money. But if you go out and actually, you ain't a sexist if you don't like Star Wars. But assuming that out of the billions of people on the world, there ain't at least 2, 10, 20, bro, in America, there's people with tiki torches. In America, there's people getting shot for no apparent reason. But the Starbucks things that have been happening, you talking about you want sources? Bro, I just gave him the Google link. I said, go to the Google link. Y'all know what it is. Go just search up men who hate Kathleen Kennedy because she's a woman. There's like cuts out there. There's a bunch of stuff. The fact that it wasn't even to bash you guys, it was to say, hey, I get it. Some of you guys are being assumed as being sexist because of that. Forget those people. Let's talk about those valid criticisms. And instead, you were flipping out because I mentioned. That says a lot. I think we're in an interesting time. Shout out to the Breaking Banter guys. If you haven't seen their stuff, definitely go check out their stuff. He made a whole video about how he was praising the movie. And my man was trying to make a living off of YouTube barely. Got accused of getting that Disney check. Well, I'm going to tell you, those Disney checks don't pay the bills. They just don't. Just kidding. Nobody gets Disney checks. That's not how it works. Or just to put it out there, yeah, the whole Disney Star Wars thing, I think it's getting kind of crazy because whether you like it or whether you don't, that's cool, that's fine. But it's mad crazy when you actually in a video say, you know, some fans will try to argue with you even when you agree with them. And I did. And they still found a way to yell at you and whatnot. So for those of you out there, yeah, yell crazy. I don't know what else to tell you. If you show up in my house, I will shoot first like Han Solo. All right, you guys are asking about the Kanye stuff. Here's my thing with the Kanye thing. I was listening back to it, and I have the Kanye video that I'm working on. So as you guys know, for the after show, pretty much I talk about the stuff from the past week, solo video, talk about Kanye. This upcoming week, I have 3 videos that I'm working on. One is the Kanye video here for the A to Z show, and it's going to be called Kanye Made in America, and it's just going to be going through my whole relationship with Kanye, the idiocy that is Kanye, the genius that is Kanye, all of that bunch of stuff. Kanye Made in America. I'm working on that video right after this. I also have the May wrap-up, the must-watch of May. That includes my stuff that I saw at the Chicago International Film Festival. And then I also have the Friday show, which is going to be the Twitter question for this week. If you don't follow me at the A to Z show over on Twitter, it's because of Hereditary. First of all, y'all got to get super hyped for Hereditary. I've been saying this. Some of you unfollowed me because you're hyping up Hereditary too much. It is definitely worth it. I'm excited that it's finally here, that you guys get to watch it and we'll get to talk about it. But the question over on Twitter for the Friday episode, if you want to be mentioned on there, give your best response to the movie, the horror movie that just completely messed you up. That again is over on Twitter at the A to Z show. So again, Kanye video, May wrap-up video, horror movie that messed you up video. Those are the 3 for this week. But some of you guys just want to talk about the Kanye one, and I had mentioned I started a Hear Me Out channel to just literally go through the bars. You know, if you didn't learn anything from the Ye album, that's completely fine. Just talking about some of the bars over there. Listen to this throughout the entire week. I had a friend over. She does not like Kanye, but I was still blasting in the cars. We were going in the city just because I had to sit with it. You know, people are quick to make these reviews on it, which is cool, you know, your first reactions, but you wanna sit on it for a bit. Yikes and Ghost Town are my standouts. And for me personally, that's kind of it. I will say 2 certain things about this bad boy right here. It is very interesting that he talks about one of the songs that a lot of people love. They think it's beautiful. I think it's Violent Crimes, where he's talking about his daughter and how he says, you know, he doesn't want her to be like Kim Kardashian. He's worried about when she has those curves, he's going to grow up and all these guys are going to be after her. He's like, you know what? It's crazy that I was, you know, fiending after all of these women. And now that I have a daughter, I don't want her to interact with anybody who was like me in any way, shape, or form. And it's a beautiful song. Yet in All Mine, you were talking about how something about overcome. We all come from common. All these other different things about how any girl can get with Ye and you can't wait to smash. And it's all about you. Kanye, look, I love his beats, his production, all these different things that he does, but man, and I get it. The cover is, I hate being bipolar. It's awesome. And he talks about right in that first song where he wants to kill himself and he loves himself more than anything else. He talks about how he doesn't see his disability as something that disables him. He sees his disability as something that's a superpower. That is incredible. Wait. Kim Kardashian tweeted out about how everyone was saying he had a mental disorder. And she's like, all of you guys are crazy. How dare you talk about a mental disorder? My husband does not have a mental disorder. The cover of the album is I hate being bipolar. It's awesome. Y'all got to get your stories together, because if this album is, and again, I love Kanye. I think he's a genius when it comes to music. And I would have loved this album to be a whole thing about mental disorders and, you know, schizophrenia, bipolarness. All that stuff is great. It's fine. Y'all flip-flopping with it. Yikes and Ghost Town, those are my favorite. I agree with a lot of people who have said that Ghost Town is kind of like Runaway Part 2. I can definitely see that. He having Kid Cudi back, having all these different things, like the Runaway has this whole aspect of it where he turns his voice into auto-tune, which then becomes the instrument towards the end of the song. Same thing with Ghost Town. And 070, I think is her name. 070 Shake. I know some of you guys are talking about her right now. 070 had a good chorus in Ghost Town. I liked it. I do like it. A lot of people don't like her. It's going to be interesting to see that album that's coming up. I had never heard of her other than when she was in Push's album, so that's really interesting. She does kind of sound like Mad Ox, but I like it. I think she adds a certain style to the end of the track. But yeah, I think it's very interesting that he's kind of cutting it down to 7 tracks each. of his albums that he's worked in Wyoming, from Push's album to this album. I know the Cudi and Him album is coming out this week. Then I believe is a Tiana Taylor. And then he's closing out June with Nas's album. Every single album is 7 tracks. It's great. Push has definitely delivered on 7 tracks. When you got 7 tracks, that means it's got to be no filler. I don't know about... Why'd you end your album on a voicemail? And then you're going to cancel this, man. I've been excited for this. Supposedly Drake's response to all this right here. And yes, I've been hearing you guys' messages. I'm definitely working on a video for this. And I'm telling you right now that I'm not finishing this only because I went back and listened to Infrared. And he's leaving Easter eggs in Infrared for stuff that you won't get until you listen to a Diden. So I'm just wondering if Drake comes back with supposedly he finished something with Lil Wayne. If Drake comes out with that one, and then Pusha comes out with the other one, I'm going to have to go listen to Infrared again, right? This is like, he's creating episodes of Lost. He's creating these crazy things where you have to go back and listen to the stuff to see like, oh, that's what he meant. I don't even know. He's claiming in Infrared that he's got stuff on Drake messing with numbers and stuff. That's going to be super interesting. Again, I got that Kanye video coming up. Hear me out for those of you over on the channel. Yo, if we can get that channel to 1,000 before I even upload a video, kind of cool. But I do have videos that are coming out over there. The only reason they're getting delayed right now is because After Effects is giving me this little issue with the visualizer that I have over there. But I am going to be covering all pretty much just bars breakdowns over there. Like, as you guys know, ATZ is all about just like what you can learn from it. My personal side of it, that's what the kind of video is going to be about. But on Hear Me Out, it's the Let Me Explain of music. So there's definitely going to be that over there. If you guys are on the chat, you know, again, if you guys watch this in the future, definitely for the summer, it's all going to be on Mondays. I'm going to be doing the live streams on Mondays. They all get archived over at the Patreon, A to Z Show Patreon, all for just $1. They're all there. But if you guys watch live, I post it here on the channel, and those of you guys who are here, sadly, I can't get it. Usually it pops out somewhere over here on this side. Google is giving me an issue, but I'm going to answer some of you guys' questions over there. Lucas says, I've never listened to any Kanye song. I would definitely recommend starting with probably Graduation is his most acceptable album, in my opinion. So I would definitely say check that out. Let's see. If Maddox had a Ye feature, it would be 070. That's exactly who it is. Let's see. Yo, can I get some advice? And man, go ahead. Comment whatever you want. I'll see what I can do. All he did was respond to the photo, but left his kid out of the written response like he did out of his life. Yeah, that's probably been one of the funniest things. Again, going back to the Drake thing, where in a Diden, he hit him with 2 things. Pusha hit Drake with 2 things. One, you got a kid. And the other, explain this blackface picture, because we all know you're half black and you have insecurities when it comes to your blackness and stuff like that. And Drake, when it's supposed to be a rap battle, wrote a thing on his notepad and released it. Drake turned into that mother. Drake turned into that mom who wants to speak to the manager at McDonald's. It's like, oh, hold on, wait a second here. Pretty much came out and said, listen, I can explain the blackface picture. He did all that stuff and completely refused to talk about his son in that notepad thing. That's hilarious to me. Let's see. Album is 23 minutes. Yeah, I think it's kind of crazy that there are videos on the album for Ye and for Pusha that are longer than the album. So it's called Hear Me Out, the new channel. Yes, it should be already linked. If you go to the to Let Me Explain or the A to Z Show, when it says like the linked channels, you'll see all the other channels right there. Let Me Explain, all for movies, Hear Me Out, all for music, and the podcast too, which I'll be recording right after this. Let's see. What do you think about people boycotting Kanye because of the slavery Trump thing? I love his stuff, but it made me guilty for loving it. I'ma still listen, but like, I think it's an interesting issue that again goes back to something that I always talk about in movies on this channel. That whole idea of, can you still watch a movie knowing that that filmmaker has done something? And my biggest thing for movies has always been that you have hundreds of people who work on a movie, right? So unless it's like a tour, it's not really on them. It's a whole production, right? Like a lot of people can't see a Kevin Spacey movie anymore. But, you know, Kevin Spacey didn't direct and write and worked and did craft and was all the actors in that movie. So, you know, I say watch it for all the other people who have done that work. And if you can't, that's completely fine. I understand that. Music is interesting, especially with Kanye, because Kanye produced. Kanye takes the picture of his freaking album on his way to the listening party. It's all Kanye. And it is a little difficult. I don't take Kanye that seriously. I don't think Kanye takes himself that seriously. And that's an issue because of the people who look up to him But I also don't agree with looking up at celebrities in that way. I look at them from the production standpoint. I've never seen Kanye as a writer. I've seen him as a producer, as someone who has great production value. And like I said, Yikes and Ghost Town give me that in this album. If I wanted to listen to the Kanye that I agree with, or the Kanye that most people agree with, who I guess represents you, I think that stopped at 808s. Everything before that, those albums are already cemented. Those albums are already made. Go listen to those albums. I listen to it for the production. That's what I do. I don't think he means it with ill intent when he says a lot of the idiotic stuff, and it is idiotic. I do not disagree with that, but I don't think it's with ill intent. I just think he's an idiot when it comes to how he phrases things and not realizing that the people he should be helping, he's not helping. He's not helping them. Let's see. Cameron, yo, what's up? I love your content. Thank you, Cameron. Shout out to you. What else we got? Hey, did you see the movie The Babysitter on Netflix? If this is the one that I think had Bella Thorne in it, yes, I did. It actually kind of surprised me. I thought it was an interesting movie. And that's, yeah, I would recommend it. I never made a video on it, but I would recommend it. I think it's pretty good. Elizabeth, do you listen to all types of music? Yes, I do. I mostly, of course, listen to rap, hip hop, that type of stuff. I am big on alternative as well. All of my other music tastes come from my sister. You know, she puts me onto a bunch of other stuff. There's Greta Van Fleet right now, who I would recommend. Manchester Orchestra, who I would also recommend. So I try to listen to as much as possible. And I really do take your guys' suggestions when you guys comment down below. I add them to my list, and I just try to listen to them when I'm doing the playlist and stuff. What do you think of John Mayer's new song? He basically made himself a meme. I love it. If you don't know, John Mayer, he pretty much is like best friends with Post Malone. Post Malone embraces the meme culture. I love that John Mayer has as well. And I think it's a really good song. I really like the song. And the video's hilarious too. So I would definitely recommend that. Thoughts on me? Fidget spinner movie? Can't wait to see what you have to offer. Mayor, Adobe or Final Cut Pro for film editing? I personally love Adobe. I love Adobe mainly because you get the whole Adobe suite. You can edit in Premiere. You can get some After Effects stuff done. You can get, your stuff in Audition. Voiceover stuff. So I definitely like Adobe just because of the way that it all works together. Man, 327 says, I'm at the end of grade 12, so I believe that's senior year. And how do I get past my lazy tendencies to actually do work? And I want to be a filmmaker, and I'm going to school for film, but I'm terrified. I know this is kind of heavy, but so this is two things I would say. Just like you, I am a big procrastinator as well. What I would always recommend, and this is something that I read from a book, it was a graphic novel that pretty much said the best way to not procrastinate on the stuff that you want to do is to find something else to procrastinate. And it's a funny way to look at it, but honestly, like, let's say you're working on a project you're procrastinating editing it, go mow the lawn. And then you're going to be like, I really don't want to mow the lawn and trim the hedges and all that stuff. Then you end up procrastinating that to go back to work. It's a weird mentality, but if you're a procrastinator, try it. We think differently anyway. Try that out. But also have people who hold you accountable. If you're working on a film, work with people who you'll have as producers, people who are expecting something, so then you can't let them down, because as a procrastinator, you have no problem letting yourself down. That's just how it is. Like, as a procrastinator, I don't know, you're that first track on Ye. You just don't care if you let yourself down, but you will if you have other people you have promised this project, other people who have helped you out, and you owe them. If you do, and you still don't care to deliver them that product, then that's a whole nother thing you got to work on. But yeah, that's what I would say. Let's see. You think Drake will mention Pusha T in his new album? I feel like it's already done, but we're getting to that point nowadays. People aren't printing it. They're not printing vinyls or albums or stuff like that. They're pretty much just going straight to streaming so they can edit it stuff before. I really hope he doesn't. I am not big on disses on an album, because this is your body of work you worked on, and now you're mentioning another man. No. Do that on SoundCloud and stuff. I've always thought that was weird. And I even like Push's diss on Infrared, but it's just weird because now his 7-track album, 7 tracks, and one of them is dedicated to Drake. That's weird. Let's see. No whites allowed means no blacks allowed means who runs these purity tests? The same Democrats that invented Jim Crow. I think it's all about perspective. And the only thing that I question, if this is going back to the Drake thing, like with blackface and stuff, he mentions that he was doing this for some project. Where's the project? Maybe you could help. I ran out of characters. Danny says, podcast? What podcast? The Intercut podcast, which I'll be filming right after this. So I'm going to go through the questions real quick. I do a quick Google Hangout. So those of you who want to hop on the Hangout with me over on Patreon, it's like first come, first serve. Just DM me the link over there. I'm sure some of you have already. I do the Patreon Hangout over there, get to know you guys a bit. And then I go straight into the Intercut podcast, which again, Intercut podcast, I should have it linked below. If not, again, if you go to the main page on the A to Z show, all the stuff are tagged right there. So yeah, and I do that with my boy, Zach. If Drake offends black people for blackface, then Pusha should be shunned for portraying a gangster. That's some valid questions you're bringing up. Let's see, Drake took an L for being triggered by infrared where his name wasn't dropped. It wasn't dropped, but Quentin was, so it alludes to him. What do you think of John Mayer's new song and music video? I think I had already read that one. What do you think of Drake as an artist? I think you phrased it perfectly. I see Drake as an artist, not as a rapper. I am of the belief, and I understand Pusha and everybody else who comes at him saying, you cannot say you're top 5, but you're top 3, and you're not 2 because you are. No, because you do not write your songs, and that's completely fine. Again, going back to what I was saying about Kanye, I don't see Kanye as a lyricist. I see Kanye as a producer. He's great at that. I see Drake as someone who is an entertainer, and he knows how to get the best of people. Some people assume that, his OVO people, he takes the best out of them. But they're getting paid. They give it to him. So I do see him as an artist, and I think he's entertaining when it comes to being an artist. Yo, what is that handsome guy who got the closing statements on your meta video? My meta video. That's you, Danny. Shut your face. On a scale from 1 to 10, what's your favorite color of the alphabet? Mahogany, maroon, however you want to call it. Do you watch any stand-up comedians? I do, and I was actually just watching one recently right now. It's actually still up here. It wasn't his comedy thing, but it was Neil Brennan on the Breakfast Club. And that's the first one I'll just mention because I was just watching one of his stuff. Who's your favorite YouTuber? There's a lot. I don't know if you can see all my subscriptions. Definitely go check out any one of my subscriptions, anyone who I've ever had on the show, mentioned and whatnot. I am a big fan of Double Toasted. I really like those guys. If I just say, definitely go watch them. They're not even really YouTube, but I do love the stuff that they post on YouTube, and they're hilarious when it comes to just talking about movies. Gorilla's new album, songs, general thoughts. I have not heard it. I don't know if it dropped. I don't know if you're talking about the last album or the fact that they're working on a new album. I haven't really been into Gorilla since the old days, since the demon days, sadly. A$AP Rocky testing flopped a little bit. Again, hear me out. I'll have a rundown on that because I really don't have anything profound to say here on the A to Z show about testing, but it is exactly that. Testing. Tested. Jay Prince ended the beef when he called Drake and told him not to respond. A lot of people have been saying that. Let's see. I lost a couple here. I took a film class in high school and found it fun. I took one in college thinking I could possibly study it, but I hated it so much. Film school is always optional. Go out and just film is the best thing I can say. You have YouTube where you can create an audience and literally just test your stuff. Let's see. Could you do a room tour video? Maybe one day. Well, I kind of have over on Patreon, so you could definitely go check it over on Patreon. Do you also live in Chicago? I do. I live in the burbs of Chicago. What do you think of Solo? Good movie. I still just believe in the fact that would have been directed way better if they had kept the original directors. Who would you rather smash, Roseanne or Monique? Neither, because Crazy will stick with you. Do you listen to Owl City's music? Not in the longest time, since he had the Firefly stuff. Let's see. Do you know Frankie Boyle? I do not. That's not what I'm talking about. Colleges are having no whites allowed day. WTF. The people running no whites allowed in campus day are the same Jim Crow, DNC, individuals. Look at what the groups do. I've not heard of this. And I believe you're logged into 2 different accounts, Forgotten Century and Little Star Girl, because you commented the same thing. I don't know what that means, but I think there's manipulation probably that goes on. Like, I don't know, being logged into 2 accounts and commenting the same thing. Have you watched John Mulaney's new stand-up? I have not, but I've seen his other stuff, and I think he could be pretty funny, even if at times his delivery doesn't always work for me. Are you going to Star Wars Celebration next year? Yes, I am trying to. I know some of you guys have tweeted at me and say, yo, join that, so I definitely will. Let me see. Let's wrap up some of the other stuff that we have here. Do you ever think the DC Universe could expand in the movie industries as Marvel? I'm DC over Marvel because I feel DC Comics were darker. After Nolan stopped The Dark Knight, it's going downhill. That is true. I also prefer DC Comics, but in terms of the movie, I think it's just the people who they have behind them who, I don't know, they're going all over the place. Maybe they'll fix it. I have no idea. Kira or Leia? I'm saying Kira. I'm a big fan of in the first 15 minutes, the haircut that she had. I think it's fantastic. That's why I'm picking her. Do you believe in reverse racism? I believe that ignorance is not bound to any single color or culture. Anyone can be ignorant. When will you grow facial hair? Shut your face, Jay. One day, all right? One day. Did you listen to Kyle Light of Mine? I did. Maybe I'll do a hear me out on that. Again, nothing too profound. I think I like Kyle. I have tickets to go see Kyle later this year, but I don't know. He was complaining a lot without saying much in that album, in my opinion. And I like his older stuff. Do you like Michelle Wolf? And what did you think of the whole White House Correspondents' Dinner? I can say this because she has said it herself. Her voice is very, very screeching. I think she has some ballsy jokes, but I think there's a lot of other comedians and female comedians who do a better job out there. It means you do not nuzzle your chat. You let chats run free. You don't automatically censor auto block. It means you're good. Thanks, screen capture. Day or night? Night. And I'm excited for that Kid Cudi stuff. Never played Fortnite. I have it. I just have it. Have a listen to Juice WRLD, Goodbye and Good Riddance. I have. I'm listening to it. I'm still sitting on that album trying to get more of it. What number director is The Flash on? I think like 47. Thoughts on the new trailers coming out? I don't watch too many trailers. Sometimes I end up watching some, but all I can say is if there's a trailer for Hereditary, don't watch it. Just literally go watch the movie coming out this weekend because it is fantastic. Dark Knight Rises or Batman Begins? Batman Begins. Do you listen to grime music? Not so much, but if you have some artists to put me on, definitely comment down below. Do you like Magic? Sure. Do you watch The Office? I have. Drake or Pusha T? Pusha T's winning right now. You passed the not a blocker test according to all data ATZ is not an auto block chat like Collider and Campia. Thank you. Ever seen BoJack Horseman? Have you ever seen the show? I love BoJack Horseman. It is fantastic. Excited for kids to see these ghosts? 1000%. What are your expectations for Jurassic World 2? That it's just dumb fun and exciting, and I hope the directing, especially from the director, is dope. What's a movie you hate but everyone loves? Boyhood. And last but not least, okay, Ant-Man. Okay, Ant-Man. I'm going to leave it to you like that. Thank you guys for watching this show. Like I said, every weekend, or not every weekend, every Monday, I do the after stream here. Try to answer as many questions as I can from you guys. And then right afterwards, I'm going to be heading on over to the Patreon hangout. All of these get live streamed on Monday. They get archived over on Patreon for just $1. You can see all the ones over there. Again, even if, your dollar is sacred. Just for those of you who comment, share, like, for those of you who are here on the chat when I stream them, I appreciate you guys. Honestly, for sure. Dad, is that your dad? No. I appreciate it. And yeah, we reached 200,000 here on the A to Z show, and I appreciate you guys for that. I know you guys subscribe for different things, which is why I made Let Me Explain. And yo, that took off. It was just at 50. Now that's at 60. Hear me out. I can see definitely you guys are excited for that. So just trying to make as many videos for you guys for the summer, working on that. Like I said, all the links will be down below. All the links are on the main channel. And for those of you on Patreon, I'll see you guys in a bit. Have that one-on-one talk with you guys, and then head on over to the Intercut chat. Again, if you didn't like Solo, that's okay. You're not alone like Solo was.